is the Investor Connect podcast program. This is Hall T. Martin. I'm the host of the show, in which we interview angel investors, venture capital, private equity, family offices, and many other investor groups for startups and growth companies. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you for joining us. Well, hello, this is Hall Martin with Investor Connect. Today we're here with Paola Torre, who is a translational scientist and investor working at the intersection of biotechnology, venture capital, and healthcare innovation. She serves as a venture partner of Acquilus Ventures and as a board member of Life Science Angels, one of the most respected angel groups in the U.S. focused exclusively on life sciences. With a PhD and hands-on R&D experience at BioMarin Pharmaceutical, working on fibrosis, neurometabolic disorders, and cardiovascular disease, Paola brings a deep understanding of how therapies move from the lab bench toward the clinic. Paola, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Hall. It's a great pleasure for me to be here today and describe the work that we are doing at Life Science Angels and how as PhD scientists I move from the bench to investing.
Well, that's great. So let's talk about the investment focus of Life Science Angels. How does a group approach early stage life science investing, and how is it different from other angel networks?
Yes, so as you mentioned, Life Science Angels is an angel investment firm investing exclusively in early-stage life sciences companies. The mission of Life Science Angels is to back transformational healthcare innovations at the seed and early Series A stages, combining capital with deep operational, scientific, and clinical expertise. What differentiates LSA is really the density of domain of expertise in our membership, and our hands-on engagement goes well beyond the check and translate also in mentoring and coaching startups.
Well, great. So what are the key factors Life Science Angels look for when looking at these biotech, medtech, and healthcare startups?
At LSA, we focus on what we call a diversity footprint, how diversity shows up as a real differentiation, technology, translational credibility, and unmet medical need. Early data matters, of course, but just as important is whether the science can realistically translate into a viable development path. And that depends heavily on the quality of the team. We also spend a lot of time pressure testing assumptions such as IP, regulatory strategy, and development timelines. Increasingly, we also value companies' ability to secure strong research or product development partnerships with pharmaceutical companies. I want to add that this is really one of the key factors that we are evaluating during the last year, the 2025, and it's going to be very predictive also of the success of many companies during 2026.
Great. So there's a lot of new technologies out there. Which technologies or subsectors do you think are going to be the ones that define the next decade of life science investing?
Sure. I'm particularly excited about next generation therapies, especially gene and RNA therapies. In general, precision medicine approaches and AI-enabled biological platforms that can improve development efficiency across discovery, clinical trials, and manufacturing. I'm also very interested in innovation in non-animal model system, particularly human iPSC-derived organ models. And while I don't believe that the AI alone will deliver the next generation of therapies, I do think that tools that shorten timelines, improve target validation, and de-risk clinical translation will ultimately define the next decade, and that can truly bring new therapies to patients.
Well, great. So you're in an angel group. How can angel groups effectively support companies that require long development timelines and greater capital needs than what they can provide?
Well, in capital-intensive areas like biotech, angels play a critical de-risking role. At LSA, we help companies reach early inflection points, whether technical, regulatory, or strategic, so they can engage institutional capital from a position of strength.
Well, great. And so what separates the successful life science founders from those who struggle to find scale?
What we consider the strong founders are the ones that combine scientific rigor with coachability and strategic curiosity. Once we start due diligence, we really value founders who are communicative and transparent and who actively facilitate the process. The ability to listen, adapt, and build a complementary team is often more predictive of success than having all the answer at the start, such as all the data, all the relationship with companies. What we really want is really to find trustworthy and transparent founders.
Well, sure. In the early days of these startups, it's all about the science and the technology working and proving it effective. but later, the company must go to market in some cases and generate sales and revenue. And so, how can investors help the founder make that transition from an academic or clinical researcher to, a market-ready CEO?
So as an academic myself, I spent many years in academia. One of the biggest challenges for a researcher or for a founder coming from academia is really translating academic excellence into clear product visions. Investors can really help founders think early about target product profiles, clinical endpoints, and commercial relevance without diluting scientific integrity. More recently, another gap we often help fill as angel investor is the transition from non-dilutive funding to angel and venture capital. We see many founders who are rock star at securing non-dilutive funding, but then struggle to attract private capital. Our role is to help prepare them to be more compelling to venture capitalists and pharmaceutical partners.
What are the key skills you like to see form in a CEO as you invest in them? Typically, they have very strong technical talents, but what business talents are you looking for?
We definitely look for business talents that has a proper background. I mean, previous founders or seasoned entrepreneurs are definitely like the type of business figures that we really appreciate the most. But we also expect the CEOs are not only able to sell or not only able to do successful fundraising, but they're also able to really deeply understand the technology and the science so that they can answer promptly to our questions.
Oh, great. Well, how does Life Science Angels partner with other investor groups such as VCs and strategic players?
Life Science Angels is a highly collaborative group. We frequently syndicate with other angel groups, early venture capitalists, and strategics. And we view those relationships as additive. Strong syndicates improve governance, increase follow-on confidence, and ultimately benefit the founders.
Does Life Science Angels lead the deals and price the rounds, or are they more often just doing convertible notes and safe notes?
I mean, Life Science Angels mostly focus on follow-on investments and appreciates convertible notes and price rounds. But we always try to have conversations with our founders and our companies in order to negotiate a deal that is convenient for us and for them.
Well, life science investing is becoming much more prevalent today than it was. There's many more startups, much more money going into it. And so we see a lot of tech investors and consumer investors coming into it. How do these investors, should they think about the technical, regulatory, and market risk at the angel stage? What should they be looking for?
What they look for is really risks management. So risk in life science is inevitable, but can be understood as structure. At the angel stage, for example, we focus is really on identify the right risk, those that can be addressed with capital and execution versus fundamental scientific or regulatory dead ends. That's also why we discipline on valuation. Taking excessive valuation risk early can create unnecessary dilution down the line and ultimately hurt both the founders and their investors. So definitely we require that the companies that apply to us, they really have a clear idea on their pre-money valuation so that we can really start a great relationship.
Okay. So what guidance would you give investors looking to get involved in healthcare and biotech, especially if they don't have a domain expertise? What do you advise them to do?
Life Science Angel is definitely a group that lean on expertise, but you don't need to be a scientist or a technologist in order to be part of our group. Joining a group like Life Science Angels allows new angels to learn to structure diligence, exposure to experienced operator, and collective decision-making. So definitely, even if you are not a scientist by training, but you're just curious about life science, we encourage you to join our group because we provide you also the tools to make better informed decisions on investments.
One of the biggest concerns I hear from first-time investors looking at life science deals is the potential for dilution. The follow-on rounds are going to be very large and, to pay for the clinical trials in many cases, and they worry about that. Is that the main concern, or how should we look at that follow-on funding?
I mean, we generally also follow companies through the rounds. We participate also in Series A. There have been some cases where we also participate in Series B. But what is important is really the phase where we enter into the deal. So suppose that a company comes to us at seed stage and needs an investment for accelerating one key step for their pipeline. We really appreciate to be part of that journey, but we would like to be part of that journey in a way that will not dilute our efforts so much. So we cap our pre-money valuation to 15 million. And we really or we can appreciate convertible notes for higher pre-money valuation.
Okay. And how does an angel get more expertise in the biotech space if they're not a clinician or don't have a technical background? What's the best way they can learn more about what is prevalent in the investing world for life science?
I mean, definitely being part of our group because we offer a very structured due diligence teams. We provide expertise in any important portion of the due diligence, the research and technology, but also the market landscape, the competitive landscape. And so that in exchange, I mean, even people that come strictly from the business world, they can learn about what a good opportunity is in a certain field of life science.
Okay. And angel groups evolve like all other investment groups as the market carries forward. Their things are changing. How do you see angel groups evolving as the life science ecosystem becomes more global and interdisciplinary?
As I say before, sorry, then probably it's the cut part. As I said before, I really see angel investing group as sort of venture studios for companies. So, and sort of global multidisciplinary platforms. I want to mention that we have members worldwide, even in China, in Europe, and in Canada. And we really think that our group can act as an ecosystem builder, connecting founders, academia, corporates, and venture capitalists across geographies and disciplines to accelerate innovation more efficiently.
Right. Well, we see AI coming into every industry, and life science is no different. We see it coming into medical devices or being built around it, and we're seeing therapeutics are using it to turn into drug discovery systems and so forth. What do you see as the biggest benefit to AI in these different areas?
I really think that AI can accelerate many of the processes that are at the foundation of this technology. I truly don't believe that AI will produce the new drug or the new medical device without any use of human intelligence. So I am very pro platform that can accelerate manufacturing and development and also manage the overwhelming documentation that is behind clinical trials. But I still think that new technology will need a very tight collaboration between artificial and human intelligence.
Great. And what do you think is the biggest risk with AI in these systems like med devices and drug discovery systems? What's the challenge there?
I think the challenge will be some flows that the AI can produce. In one of the main limitation is the fact that sometimes AI algorithm or machine learning protocols, they don't include internal standards. And we are in the scientific world, like either is like intended for therapeutics or for medical device, require constant standardization, constant control. So, I mean, it's definitely something that innovators can work on, like the creating like AI internal standards, but then needs to be really well defined, and in order to be predictive of the success of certain technologies.
And how do you see the FDA approaching AI? Are you seeing them take an aggressive stance, or you think they're more permitting and letting people try things out?
I think that the FDA, I was recently at a conference organized by UCSF CERSI, and I think the AI is among the priorities of FDA together with other important verticals. But AI is conceived by FDA as a way of like mostly accelerate development more than really like replacing human intelligence and replacing like all the the factors that contribute to the innovation of a therapeutic or the innovation of a medical device.
Okay. Well, great. Well, in the last few minutes that we have here today, what else should we cover that we haven't?
I think that is pretty like comprehensive. Let me think about it. Maybe at the start, I should specify that we invest just in companies located in the United States. Because, I got reached out by many companies coming from other places in the world, and we don't invest in them. But our membership covers different countries, but it's exclusively for life science in North America.
Are there any other restrictions or requirements? Do you invest in safe notes, convertible notes? Are there any limits on valuation or anything else that limits?
The limit is on valuation. I kind of mentioned, we invest just on companies that have a cap of 15 million. We are open to convertible notes in case the pre-money valuation is 20 million, for example, and of course to price rounds. But it doesn't make for us any sense to invest in something that is 30 million, 50 million, because then it's going to be very diluted. But what I can really say is that we have 47 portfolio companies, and many of them we follow on also in the other rounds, like the Series A, the Series B. So we provide also coaching and network to the existing companies. And the group is 20 years old, and I originally had 1 or 2 companies in portfolio. Of course, in 20 years, as you can understand, there has been a lot of evolutions in this company. So now the current number is 47. And so other things that I can share is that in 2025, we received 647 applications, and we got to see 111 deals, and we founded 5 deals. So just to give you an idea of how narrow is the funnel.
Absolutely. It's very, very high quality deal flow you have there. So appreciate you sharing that with us today. How best for listeners to get back in touch with you?
Definitely my LinkedIn is a good way, and get in touch there. And I'm pretty responsive and already open and keen to meet new founders and interact with the innovative technologies. I have a passion for therapeutics, so I really encourage therapeutics company to reach out. And yes, let's stay in touch.
Great. Well, we'll put your contact details in the show notes. I want to thank you for joining us today, and we hope to have you back for a follow-up soon.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Investor Connect helps investors interested in startup funding. In this podcast series, experienced investors share their experience and advice. You can learn more at investorconnect.org. Halty Martin is the director of Investor Connect, which is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to the education of investors for early-stage funding. All opinions expressed by Hall and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of Investor Connect. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon as a basis for investment decisions.